There's a lot of people that come to this hotel that are eco-friendly and they're very into sustainability, and we have been trying to become a green property, and this is one of the biggest steps that we've taken.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the ILHA's webinar on sustainability in hospitality, adapting to the values of tomorrow's travelers. My name is Rich Rasgatis, and I'm thrilled that Flowwater is sponsoring today's webinar. And I'll introduce the company to you real briefly. Flowwater is a company that's rooted in providing the world's best tasting, most trusted drinking water anywhere consumers work, rest, and play. And with that, we focus also on ending single-use plastic water bottles. And later today, we'll be talking a little bit more about how Flowwater plays a part in the guest experience, as well as this mission around providing great guest experiences that are sustainable in nature. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Hervé Houdre, founder at H2 Sustainability Consulting, who will be moderating today's discussion.
Thanks, Raz, and thank you very much to you and to Flowwater for sponsoring this session and for your introduction, and of course for the great product you developed and that you're bringing to our industry. My name is Hervé Houdre, and I've been managing luxury properties, hotel properties for 30 years, and became passionate about sustainable hospitality 20 years ago. And then 7 years ago, I started my own business of advising luxury hotel companies on the development of sustainability strategies for themselves and for the world. Our industry has now quite evolved. I would say that 20 years ago, there were not many of us speaking about sustainable hospitality, and today there's many of us who are very interested. With all this experience, we're going to share with the panelists here. We're going to share some best practices, but more importantly as well, we're going to talk about the trends and what are the current guests expecting, and particularly the younger generations. So today we have a great panel. I'd like to ask each of them to introduce themselves individually and briefly if possible. Anne, could you start?
Absolutely. I'm Anne Wilkinson, principal with BAMO. We are a boutique design firm specializing in luxury hospitality, single-family residential, and multifamily residential. And we are passionate about pursuing sustainable projects. We've done a number of them in other project types and would love to do more in hospitality.
Thank you. Anna?
Hello, everybody. My name is Anna Schmid. I'm the Vice President of Communications and Corporate Social Responsibility at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas. We are a 7,100 suite integrated resort here in Las Vegas, and we've been very engaged in sustainability and community impact for the last 25 years, since we just celebrated our 25th birthday. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations. And Pranav, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on this webinar. Hello, everyone. I'm Pranav Champani, and I currently serve as a Global Vice President of Sustainability and Impact at SH Hotels and Resorts, where I basically lead our mission-driven commitment to sustainability on a global scale. I drive transformative initiatives that seamlessly sort of blend our operations with the beauty of nature for some of the industry's most dynamic and iconic brands, including the nature-inspired luxury of One Hotels, the five-star opulence of Baccarat Hotels, and the playful innovation of Treehouse Hotels. All our brands, each in their own unique way, foster respect for the natural world, create meaningful connections with our guests, and cultivate a culture of sustainability and purpose in everything we do. We continue to embrace our overall mission of improving the planet one hotel at a time. One Hotels particularly is the first mission-driven hospitality brand, which has been at the forefront of sustainable innovation in the luxury travel industry. Environmental and social impact forms the foundation of our approach to design, construction, and operations. Every decision we make is guided by this principle, keeping in harmony with nature as we strive to propel our mission forward, inspire the industry, and contribute positively to the world. And I think we're expanding globally. Our rapid global expansion, reaching iconic destination, underscores our mission to redefine sustainability and luxury hospitality worldwide. Thank you.
Well, thank you for everything you do, and congratulations as well. Raz, if I may come back to you, your company has a wide range of clients in various industries around the world. So you can bring a fresh eye to our own industry. How do you see the future of sustainable luxury in hospitality?
Well, our fundamental belief, and mine personally, is rooted in the fact that consumers today, particularly the younger consumer, looks not at feature, advantage, benefit, but they really look at experience and outcome. And so when we look at some simple ideas of how do we radically change ESG initiatives from something that's like a have to do to a nice to do, I think we're looking at a whole category of products that end up delighting the consumer or the guest experience more, and then having an ESG or a sustainability byproduct. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. And some of our clients represent Hilton, Marriott, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carltons, and we see this over and over again. When you look in hospitality, too often from a guest perspective and even a millennial perspective, you go into a hotel and an ESG initiative is something that's desirable, but the actual impact of that is often kind of reduced seemingly to things like water saving faucets or towels that don't get washed, or bedding that and linens that don't get changed, or maybe rooms that don't necessarily get turned as frequently. And so sustainability has kind of this negative halo around it from a guest experience and a consumer perspective. This happens in schools that we work with. We've got thousands of schools nationwide, thousands of big corporations nationwide. So this is kind of a problem as it relates to this ESG halo. And what we need to do, and what we're going to see happen increasingly over the next few years, are people delivering products that people love that happen to be sustainable, as opposed to here's a sustainable product, let's drive it and jam it down your throat. And that sometimes is how it's received. None of us ever intend that to be the case, but that's sometimes how it's received. And I'm going to have to compromise on this, and this, but it's sustainable. And in fact, we have to flip that paradigm where it's better in this, and this than the competitive set or than what you are used to. And it's also sustainable as a byproduct of that. And I think that's one of the big mistakes that's been made in ESG over the last 10, 20 years. And it's one of the big, powerful shifts that's happening now that will drive sustainability into something that really is a benchmark and a differentiator and a want to do, as opposed to I need to check this box.
That's a very good point, actually, because I really feel every day, actually, that procurement is a major concern. It's the biggest challenge we have at the moment to balance sustainability and luxury. So that's a very interesting comment. And actually, I'd like to ask Anne as well from another perspective, from any insight that you have from a design, construction, renovation perspective. What in your mind will be the new sustainable luxury hotel?
Yeah, Harvey, I read a statistic recently that said 25 to 40% of CO2 emissions come from the construction industry. So it's definitely worth considering how we can reduce our impact on the environment or mitigate the effects by reducing waste or setting up systems to reduce energy or water use long term. I think some other strategies short term are, reusing a building, adaptive reuse versus ground up construction, designing for long term, thinking about how easy it will be to renovate, which you'll inevitably want to do, using products that are recyclable, finishes that are recyclable, or some manufacturers even have a take-back program. I think the question of what does a sustainable luxury hotel look like is a really interesting one. And it kind of goes back to what Roz was saying, which is that, much of the early aesthetic of sustainability was this kind of industrial look. And part of the problem that I had personally was that, all these products that were coming out seemed to be pushing their green bona fides by having a certain aesthetic. And therefore, they weren't something that I could use in my luxury projects. There's been a lot of improvement in that. I think there's a lot more people, a lot more manufacturers using products. And so there's more opportunity. Does a sustainable hotel need to look different from another luxury hotel? I don't know that it does, unless it's part of the branding and the aesthetic that the operator is trying to achieve. And again, to Roz's point, how do we make sustainability cool? How do we make it something that people want, whether it reflects their value set or not? It is, something that is no longer seen as, a certain type of person. How do you make it more applicable to everyone?
It's all good points. Actually, you remind me of something. I mean, accessibility is something that is, that is coming up as well, because in some hotels, not all the rooms or not all the venues are accessible. And you said something which is interesting, because a sustainable hotel should look like a luxury hotel and not, a specific type of property. And someone mentioned to me, a general manager mentioned to me, that she made sure that all the accessible rooms, the ADA rooms, really looked like a regular room in a way. I mean, of course, there's some equipment, but she said something that she didn't want a guest to enter a room and feel that they had been penalized if they were not, if they had no disability, that she didn't want them to feel penalized by staying in an accessible room. So I thought that was a very good comment, and yours sort of matches that too. Pranav, if I may ask you, we all know One Hotels, and it's an incredible brand, and we know who created it, Barry Sternlicht, and who is by all accounts an incredible innovator, and someone who has a great sense of what the future holds for our industry. After almost 10 years, I think you opened like almost 10 years ago, the first one, Miami, if I'm right. What are the trends you're seeing from a guest perspective, and particularly, again, from younger generations?
Yeah, I know that's a great question, Hervé. And you're right. I think our chairman, Barry Sternlicht, is a true visionary and an innovator, and has founded the world's most iconic and successful brands in hospitality. And our CEO, Raul Leal, is an amazing entrepreneur and a visionary responsible for some of the world's most iconic luxury and lifestyle brands, who continues to focus first on people and the planet. That is what we stand for. And I think the future of sustainable luxury hospitality is set to evolve dramatically, particularly with the growing influence of Gen Z and Alpha travelers, who place a high value on environmental responsibility. I think, it goes without saying that these generations are not just eco-aware, they demand that brands authentically align with their values. And I think the new luxury hotel is honestly, in my opinion, a harmonious blend of opulence, sustainability, and wellness. At SH Hotels and Resorts, we see this as an opportunity to lead by example and innovate continuously. I think when it comes to trends we're seeing in the industry, biophilic design, where nature guides the journey, has always been at the forefront of our ethos. And we see more and more brands embracing this trend, which we think will continue to gain traction going forward. And I think Anne mentioned about this briefly. By integrating natural elements into our architecture and interiors, we not only enhance the aesthetic appeal, but also promote well-being. For example, at One Hotel San Francisco, we sourced sustainable timber and reclaimed lumber from the old San Francisco Bay Bridge, which is used throughout the property to lower our carbon footprint. Also, I think today's guests are looking for more than just a place to stay. Experiential sustainability is becoming more and more important for guests, because they're increasingly seeking immersive and eco-friendly experiences that reflect their values and provide a sense of connection to the environment. Our properties exemplify this new paradigm. because across all our sustainable sanctuaries globally, we offer very interesting, fun, unique activities like sustainable culinary programs, nature walks, beach cleanups, sustainability tours, and conservation projects. I think our innovative programs such as Supper That Sustains Us, Chefs by Nature, and Mindful Mixology events educate our guests on sustainability while also offering unique dining experiences. So I think that's one trend we're seeing in the industry. And I think another emerging trend we see is a heightened focus for our clients and guests in hosting sustainable meetings and events and also measuring individual impact. We believe this is why programs like our unique certified sustainable gatherings have gained so much momentum in the recent years because these programs provide our clients with a reliable framework, for hosting certified zero waste sustainable events, which source sustainable materials, eliminate single-use plastics and disposables, reduce carbon emissions, and divert more than 90% of the waste from the landfills. And I'm proud to say that to date, the average diversion rate from these meetings and events hosted across all our properties is almost more than 97%, which is incredible. I think another trend we're seeing in hotels is that, which doesn't come as a surprise. Obviously, hotels are moving away from using single-use plastics and disposables, as Raz mentioned earlier, which is something we embraced very, very early on, many, many years ago. Because we have nearly eliminated all single-use plastics within our operations across all one hotels and have implemented some very innovative, eco-friendly alternatives. I think another trend I would say is related to wellness, which sort of falls under sustainability, in my opinion. Wellness is another cornerstone of modern luxury. Our hotels offer extensive wellness amenities. For example, the field house at One Hotel Central Park in New York actually has a basketball court floor reclaimed from a nearby school gym, preserving a piece of local history and promoting sustainability even in fitness. And lastly, I'll just leave with this. I think we're also seeing a growing emphasis on supporting small local businesses and communities. Now, whether it's incorporating local design influences, working closely with local farmers and fishermen to source fresh, high quality, sustainable ingredients, or featuring locally sourced items in our retail stores to promote local artisans and businesses. We recognize the importance of connecting guests with the local community. And I think supporting local communities and economies is a fundamental aspect of our sustainability initiatives at SH Hotels and Resorts. So I think these are some of the trends we've been noticing in the hospitality industry in the recent years.
Wow, you're doing a lot of things, and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And now, from your perspective of this incredible hotel, the Venetian in Las Vegas, what are your insights in terms of clients' expectation when it comes to sustainability and any future trend? And you may talk to us about meetings and incentive or conferences, as you have many, of course, but as well from the leisure side.
Oh, Anna, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Irv. That's a great question. And we actually look at it through exactly those two lenses, through the leisure guest and through the convention client or the meeting planner. For the leisure guest, I know that you've probably been to Las Vegas, and when you're here, the energy, the excitement, the buzz is consistent and ongoing. You're going from meeting to meeting, from show to dinner to the casino. So on the leisure side of it, our hope is really that the expectation is that that guest doesn't even have to think about it, that they know that they've chosen the Venetian, and by choosing the Venetian, that they are staying at a resort that is fully engaged in sustainability initiatives, and that the magic is happening behind the scenes, and we're continually hard at work engaging in those sustainable operations and being stewards of the planet. The challenge is that we have to be able to communicate that well, and that's through educating our team members, media opportunities, as well as providing as much detailed information on our website and through our materials. because by walking through our doors and staying with us, you'll notice the expected initiatives. I believe the efficient fixtures, the EV charging, LED lighting, but behind the scenes, we have so much more going on that we try to message to our guests as much as possible. A robust sorting and recycling program. We save about 25 million gallons of water a year through a nano water filtration system that is difficult to find even when we take tours of a sustainability program. It's way back at the back of the garage, but it's pumping and saving water for us every day. We also have great innovative programs to tackle food waste and material waste, and ongoing sustainability education programs for our team members. And then, of course, LEED certified buildings. And we're very proud of supporting those local nonprofit organizations that are educating and promoting sustainability, not only in our schools and our communities, but also across the globe. When we look at the meeting client, it's an entirely different animal, a different guest. We are seeing the expectation there is incredibly elevated from where it was a few years ago. Planners, especially on our end of very large scale events, are asking more and more about how they can integrate sustainable and philanthropic initiatives into their events. So we are very hard at work engaging with them every day and making sure that we can provide those opportunities for them. We developed a green meeting concierge program over a decade ago that allows those meeting planners to work directly with our sustainability team to identify the goals for their meetings that hopefully will align with our goals as well, and to also be introduced to possibilities that they might not be aware of, whether it is food and material donations, lowering lighting levels during moving in and moving out processes, compostable servingware, plant-based menus, wellness opportunities, you name it. We're continually working through what that program looks like for their event and how we can facilitate it. And it feels like the requests are coming through faster and more furious every single day from the meeting planners. So we also like to engage with them as much as possible when they want to engage with our community. So those are just ongoing challenges, but also great opportunities, because when we see that those requests come through, of course, we're excited on our side, but we're also excited to see the shift in that direction.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Actually, Raz, we've just learned from Anna and from Pranav, of many initiatives that their properties are taking. From your point of view, what do you think is the most impactful initiative a hotel can take to reduce their carbon footprint?
Well, let me answer that question in the context of, because it's a great question. Let me answer the context around what could be the single best appeal to guests that makes a meaningful impact today. Because I think there's everything that we could look at, from electrical and the grid to waste management and food waste management. And then you have water management, which some of it is consumer, some of it is the kind of commercial and industrial part of it. And then you've got single-use plastic water bottles is just a facet of that. And so what I'd like to do is, if I could just quickly answer that in the context of one thing that I know exists, and this is in spades, and we all know this in our LinkedIn feeds, Facebook feeds, Instagram feeds, Twitter feeds, TikTok feeds, but also the data is really clear on this, is that there is a mega trend away from single-use plastic water bottles. So once upon a time, when bottles became a thing, and that got developed and commercialized in the market by big beverage companies, hotels were very quick to put their brand on it for obvious reasons, right? Now what we're seeing is a 180 around that, where hotels are not only trying, if they can't rip the bottled water out of the room, they're trying to rip their brand off of the bottled water. Because today it's like having a cigarette machine in your lobby, and that would be unheard of. I opened a talk once by smoking a cigarette on stage, and everybody in the audience was totally aghast at that. And the headline on that was 50 years ago, that would have been very normal. Like, that wouldn't have even been like shock and awe. And so today we're in a world where single-use plastics are seen as the environmental cigarette, particularly by the younger consumer, by somebody that is under the age of 40. And the problem to solve for it is, you can't just remove it. And I'm saying this not in a preachy way, but I'm saying this in a convicted way of looking at the data slice by slice all across the globe. This is a truism, which is simply removing something that's bad does not solve the problem, full stop. There's a great study that was done about 13 years ago. University of Winnipeg wanted to get rid of single-use plastic water bottles. So they were super innovative, early ahead of the curve. So they banned single-use plastic water bottles from campus. And guess what happened? The number of single-use plastics retained the same. Why is that? It's because all the students ended up saying, well, I don't like drinking out of the tap and I can't have my bottled water anymore. So now I'm going to go drink, sugary, carbonated, caffeinated beverages. So they were drinking those beverages, not going to name by names. We all know which ones. And so when a hotel or a school or a corporation or a gym or whatever it is, when they remove something that consumers go to, and they go to it because there's a complete lack of trust in tap water in the United States today, then just telling them to go back to the tap doesn't solve the problem, right? And so you have to solve the problem full circle. So of course, my locus of expertise is particularly within water and within that substrate, consumer water. But I think that's one of those things that has a really high impact from an ROI perspective of, can you actually take something that's a nuisance to the environment, that's an environmental cigarette, and turn it into a great experience for the consumer instead, rather than just say, hey, go drink out of this faucet. If everyone would do that, that'd be great. 80% of consumers don't like the faucet, so they're not going to do it. People don't do what they don't want to do. Trying to get them to do something they don't want to do is, futile. So we have to find ways to solve that. And I think the way we do that is brick by brick. We pick various areas, whether that's EV, whether that's food waste, whether that's industrial equipment and the byproducts that are eliminated as a result of the industrial equipment. I think we pick brick by brick, and sometimes it's what's most visible, sometimes it's what's easiest, sometimes it's what's most problematic.
Interesting. Yeah, no, you're right. And then I think sustainability is all about being local. So when it comes to filtered water, there's nothing better, more local than filtered water. Pranav, I'd like to come back to you and then ask you if you have any specific initiatives that you say would have been the most impactful for your properties.
Yeah, sure, Hervé. I think a lot of things that Raz talked about, I completely agree. They're like so impactful, right? And again, I think I'm proud to say that we do pretty much all those things at all our sustainable sanctuaries. We have water refill stations in every guest room at every one hotel. We don't use any plastic water bottles, right? So I think overall, it goes without saying that implementing impactful, sustainable practices is essential for luxury hotels aiming to reduce their carbon footprint and enhance their brand reputation. At SH Hotels and Resorts, we've identified several key areas where these practices, initiatives, programs can make a meaningful difference. Energy efficiency obviously is a topmost priority for us. Our properties use all the standard things, right? Like LED lighting, energy efficient appliances, and smart climate control systems to reduce energy usage as much as possible. Additionally, we're increasing our use of renewable energy sources to further reduce our carbon footprint. Water conservation has always been extremely important to us, which is another critical area. We've installed low flow fixtures, rainwater harvesting systems, and high efficiency irrigation across all our properties. For example, one hotel, Hanalei Bay in Kauai, has implemented a rainwater harvesting system that significantly reduces water usage. At one hotel, Brooklyn Bridge in New York, we donate the water collected from a rainwater collection system to the park for sustainable irrigation, also benefiting the community. I think we have also implemented some very robust and comprehensive zero waste management programs across all our sustainable sanctuaries. Waste is managed through waste reduction, recycling, composting, donation, and upcycling programs. Our goal is to achieve true zero waste certification across all properties, which, by the way, several of our properties are already on track to divert more than 90% of the waste from the landfills. And I think initiatives such as Supper That Sustains Us and our partnership with Copia, which has donated more than 25,000 meals this year already to more than 30 different wonderful nonprofit organizations supporting different social causes, which really exemplify our commitment to not only minimizing waste, but also supporting local communities. And I think, as I mentioned previously, meetings and events through our Certified Sustainable Gatherings program have achieved on average more than 97% diversion rate. And I think, Herbert, you mentioned at the beginning of the webinar that sustainable procurement is extremely important, which I couldn't agree with you more. And it's so vital. We always prioritize local and sustainable suppliers when it comes to food, materials, and services, because this not only supports local economies but also reduces our carbon footprint. Like our restaurants, such as those at One Hotel Hanalei Bay in Kauai, focus on sustainable and seafood cuisine sourced primarily from Kauai and neighboring islands. In fact, the entire resort, including all dining venues, is ocean-friendly certified by Surfrider Foundation, which is an organization dedicated to ocean and marine life conservation. And I think another important area that has a very meaningful impact from a sustainability standpoint is that, integrating sustainability into everyday operations is crucial. And our team members today are also looking for workplaces that not only say they have a purpose, but actually show it by their actions. Through our SH University online learning platform, we provide access to the library of like sustainability training courses created specifically for our team members. We also do monthly micro trainings highlighting several topics, including sustainability, DEI, health and safety, and so on and so forth. And we have established sustainability champions and leadership committees to lead our sustainability efforts across all properties, which has been very, very impactful. And lastly, I think, Anne taught a lot about sustainable design practices. I think integrating sustainable design practices from the inception of a hotel project offers numerous benefits and ensures the highest standards of environmental responsibility from the outset, right? Because earlier I mentioned that we're building almost 30, 40 new projects all around the world, and we implement robust and comprehensive sustainable development standards from a design and construction standpoint into all our new development projects. And as a matter of fact, as part of our brand standards, we require every project to be LEED or BREEAM certified, and all our properties today are LEED BREEAM certified, or certification is currently underway. So yeah, I think those are just few ways how we're really able to make a meaningful impact at all our properties.
And that's great. And you're right. If it starts upstream, it's really a lot more efficient when it comes to carbon footprint. And you're right as well, so much right on the education. And employees have to become ambassadors of the strategies. So, Anna, if I may ask you the same question, but from your perspective, 7,100 rooms, more than 2 million square feet of meeting space. So, your carbon footprint is quite vast, obviously, but how can you reduce it?
Well, one of the initiatives that we are really leaning into and has been a huge success for us in the last 2 years that we've been developing it is a food rescue program called the Food Rescue Alliance. And like you said, 7,100 suites, but on this aspect, more importantly, millions of convention attendees each year. And the number that we clocked last year in meals served was over 3.5 million meals from our culinary team just in the convention expo side. So we have been in the food rescue business for over a decade now, which has always been very important to us, but we realized that there was room to grow and room to make a larger impact. The stats here in Southern Nevada are that 1 in 8 Southern Nevadans actually struggle from food insecurity. So where we were getting caught up was really in the logistics. There was food to be rescued, and we needed to get it into the right hands as quickly as possible, and also impact our food waste diversion as well. So in working with one nonprofit, the Just One Project, we were able to create the Food Rescue Alliance and work through all of the logistics over a year in order to transfer food very safely that is prepared but unserved from our expo space to an offsite kitchen, that Food Rescue Alliance kitchen. and then be able to repackage that into family-sized servings and get that out into their network of distribution through several no-cost community markets, as well as Meals on Wheels to seniors. So they that particular organization here in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada impacts about 22,000 community members every year. So now all of those community members are also getting healthy, nutritious meals that are coming directly from the Venetian. This year, we are on track to donate about 200,000 meals into the community. And the great thing is that this particular nonprofit not only works with their clients, but also provides the food for a dozen, if not more, other nonprofits in the community. So that was definitely a huge focus of ours over the last 2 years. And now it is up and rolling. In February, we received a White House recognition at a press conference for the impact that we were making in food insecurity and healthier communities. And now we're looking forward to be able to streamline and use the same formula in material donations into the community. So that is definitely our pride point over the last year, and an initiative that we would love to see grow not only across our community, but across the industry and the nation. We named it the Food Rescue Alliance with this particular nonprofit so that it can grow and have more members and be able to have more food rescued and donated into the community.
That's incredible. I mean, and you're right. We have a huge responsibility in our industry regarding waste in general, but food waste as well. So, and I'd like to get back to you as well. And we know that if the hoteliers focus on sustainability, they will reduce their energy expenses or their commodities expenses. They may have a better retention percentage of their staff as well. They will attract more clients, obviously, and hopefully, and many other positive impacts which will impact their economic bottom line. But from your perspective, how can we improve our economic bottom line through design and FF&E in general?
Yeah, it can have a big impact given how many times hotels get renovated over their lifespan. Part of the challenge that I've had more in the beginning was it was really difficult to know which products were sustainable or how to compare between manufacturers. And there are starting to be more resources to use to help make those comparisons. MindClick is one that's focused on the hospitality industry and FF&E in general. But there's a couple strategies that we use when we're analyzing and deciding on FF&E. One is to think local, as Pranav mentioned. It helps to reinforce sense of place using local manufacturers and local finishes and products. It reduces the travel distance that things need to be transported. So using less energy from that respect, saving time. We think about health and wellness and looking for products that don't off-gas, adhesives or synthetics, and trying to find products that are Green Guard or Red List certified, Red List free. We think about products that have recycled content. There's a lot of great products out there that are using reclaimed wood in really innovative ways that have a great look. And then designing for longevity. How do you take care of a product when you don't need it anymore? Can it be recycled? And then there's longevity also in aesthetics, thinking about how timeless a design is, and can the operator stretch a couple more years before they feel the need to renovate. One project that we did in Uruguay opened in 1999, and 20 years later they still had the same guest room design, which is astounding. But the wood furniture was all solid and it was made locally, and It just spoke to sense of place, and there was really no need. It probably got better over time. You know, it looked a bit more authentic. Um, there's another rating system in addition to LEED called the Living Building Challenge, and their certification system, one of them is called the petal system, and one of those petals is actually for beauty, and how the project uplifts the human spirit. And I think that, you know, if you think about uh, design standing the test of time, by not needing to renovate at all, that's actually the most sustainable method, is just to design something so that it lasts 100 years.
Well, yeah, you're definitely right. I just would like to end through the guest engagement and maybe more at large social responsibility. Pranav, do you have any, you talked about it a bit, but do you have any other successes in terms of guest engagement that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, definitely, Hervé. I think that's a very important question. You know, I honestly think like engaging guests in sustainability initiatives is extremely important for fostering a culture of environmental responsibility. Especially because we serve millions of guests every year across all our hotels, right, worldwide. At SH Hotels and Resorts, we want to do all the good we can and be a platform for change. We use several different approaches to really encourage guest participation in eco-friendly practices. Our philosophy is to offer guests unique and thoughtful ways to incorporate sustainability into their lives. We never preach to our guests, and instead, we share everyday opportunities to make a meaningful impact. We encourage guests to make sustainably minded choices through numerous different initiatives. We strongly believe in the notion that great change starts with small, simple actions, but these collectively can have a huge exponential impact and a domino effect, right? So I'll give you some examples. I think, like I said, educational programs and activities are key. We encourage our guests to participate in our interactive activities and programs, offering hands-on experiences that highlight the importance of sustainability. Like our sustainability tours, beach cleanups, like workshops provide, like hands-on learning experiences, as I said. At our properties, guests can participate in like urban gardening workshops that teach sustainable practices and the importance of biodiversity in urban settings. In 2023 alone, we hosted almost 5,300 unique programming events across all our sustainable sanctuaries. And a lot of these were sustainability and nature-focused programming events. These activities not only educate, but also allow our guests to directly contribute to environmental preservation. With that said, I think another program that we have is like all the in-room initiatives, right? They provide constant reminders of our sustainability efforts. For example, we have shower timers in all our One hotels, which remind guests to take shorter showers, which are a simple yet effective tool for promoting water conservation. Our room keys come in, 5 different types of wood. We don't use any plastic for room keys. Each room or hotel floor, as I mentioned earlier, has a filtered water tap, and we use recycled glass carafes and glasses in all the rooms. Our hangers are made from 100% post-consumer recycled materials. We use like a privacy stone sign and chalkboard, to reduce paper usage. So you can tell, we basically think about every single thing, how we could like make an impact, right, from a sustainability standpoint in everything we do across our operations. We also have a unique one less thing initiative in our rooms, which allows guests to leave behind gently used clothing, which we then donate to local charities. So those are some of our in-room initiatives. Another example I would share is I think incentivizing sustainable behavior can further engage guests, right? So we offer rewards for participating in eco-friendly programs. Our Give Green, Get Green, like room packages for example, provide guests with hotel credits for sustainable choices, with unused credits donated to environmental causes. We also have one-of-a-kind guest loyalty mission program, which encourages our guests to support various environmental causes and nonprofit organizations. We promote sustainable commuting, because as you can tell, like obviously transportation contributes to a significant portion of carbon emissions, right, worldwide. So we promote sustainable commuting using bikes and, fully electric Audi, like Q8 e-tron cars across all one hotels, which are available, by the way, for free, for our guests for their use. And then I think we didn't really talk much about communication, but I think effective communication ensures our guests are also aware of our sustainability efforts. So we use digital channels to inform guests about our initiatives and how they can get involved across all our hotels. In fact, we also have a really awesome, blog. It's called the Field Guide blog. Our guests can explore some incredible stories, that inspire our mission through the Field Guide blog, where we publish really nice, meaningful articles like almost every week, for our guests and pretty much for the public, right? So I think by engaging guests in all these different initiatives, we sort of foster a sense of community and shared responsibility, enhancing our overall guest experience and promoting long-term sustainability. I'll share an interesting stat before I end. Where, like 40% of our guests say we positively influence their sustainable practices at home because of staying at our hotels, which I think is amazing. Clearly consumers will change their behavior for the sake of sustainability, So yeah, those are just some of the ways how we engage our guests.
Thanks very much. By detailing all these initiatives, I'm sure that more than 40% of our audience are going to be particularly engaged after this session. And I'd like to end with you. You mentioned, of course, all the great things you've been doing as well on the environment, as well as on the food waste. Are there any other community support initiatives that your hotel is taking in Las Vegas?
Absolutely. The community in Las Vegas is really strong. And I know a lot of people think of Las Vegas as very transient and maybe not as warm and friendly as some other places, but the community initiatives here are very strong in Las Vegas, and we're close to 3 million now. So we're getting to be a mid-sized city, I guess. But we have 8,800 team members. So we learned very early that we mobilize those team members would make a very big impact. So our CSR program in general is called Love for All. Our sustainability arm is one piece of that, and then our community involvement is the other piece. So we have very ambitious goals for not only volunteer hours, but also contribution monetarily to the community. We support pillars of education, development, homelessness, hunger, as well as sustainability and veterans support. So there's not a day that there's not a team or individuals out in the community in Las Vegas from the Venetian doing good work and wearing our red shirts and promoting Love for All. And also just bringing back great ideas of how, the critical needs in the community and how we can get more involved with new organizations, amplify the need, and also get other people in the community involved as well. So it starts from day one with us, with team member orientation, not only in our sustainability message, but also in our community message to get out there as an individual or a team and get involved. And we're really proud of it. And all of our 8,800 team members get very excited to hear our numbers go up and to talk about new initiatives and to hear the stories of the lives that we're impacting in the community. And it's something that is built in who we are, and it has been from day one. So we're excited to see it continue to move forward.
Well, this is great. I want to thank the panel and the panelists for being so transparent about all the initiatives, and I hope that the audience has gained some more knowledge in order to start or to consolidate their property's sustainability strategy. I'd like to thank the audience as well for joining the International Luxury Hotel Association's webinar series. And of course, I'd like to end by thanking Raz and Flow Water for sponsoring this session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.